Alright, boys and girls, today's lesson is lesson 5-1, and this whole unit is going to talk a lot about measurement. So today we're going to talk about measuring units of length. So to get everyone started, I want to go over just a quick units of length sheet here that will kind of tell you what to expect and what's bigger, what's smaller, how many times bigger it is. So the standard unit of length is meter. Okay, and what you work with in meter. Sometimes you'll hear it called decimeter, centimeter, millimeter, decameter, hectometer, and kilometer, or hectometer, dectometer, kilometer. I should probably look those up to see how to pronounce them. But anyways, meter, 1 meter. Okay, you've seen the meter stick. Okay, like a yardstick, it can be called a meter stick, yardstick. They're not exactly the same, but it's the long stick. Okay, a meter is actually the biggest unit I can think of that we would have sitting in the classroom. So if you want to go down the very smallest unit that has to do with meters, you get the millimeter. That's the real tiny little lines on on the meter stick, or if you're talking about a ruler, they'd be the tiny little ones on that. Well, every 10 millimeters, you'll get a centimeter. Centimeters are about that far apart, maybe something like that. Maybe I'm off by a little bit, but every 10 centimeters is every 10 millimeters is equals a centimeter. Then every 10 centimeters equals a decimeter. And then 10 decimeters will equal a meter. And then you have a meter, and 10 meters will equal 1 decameter, or decimeter. I guess I should look that word up. 10 decimeters, decameters, will equal 1 hectometer, and then 10 hectometers will equal a kilometer. So if you'll see the examples here, we have 0, or we start with 1 millimeter, and we multiply that by 10, we get a centimeter. Multiply that by 10, you get a decimeter. Multiply that by 10, you get a meter. Multiply that by 10, you get a decameter. Multiply that by 10, you get a hectometer, and then a kilometer. Okay, so it goes up by 10 every time. So if you ever go backwards, okay, it would be 10 times smaller each time. So divided by 10 each time. Okay, so depending on what direction you go, if you're going from bigger to smaller, if you go bigger to smaller, you would divide. If you go smaller to bigger, you multiply. Okay, so let's go to our first page. I'm going to try to fly through some of these pages. A lot of this Unit 5 will have to do with measurement. So if you know your measurement pretty well, then this will be easy for you. Okay, so let's go back to what I was talking about earlier about the different types of meters. Well, here's your millimeters. Is right here. Each of these little lines are the millimeters. Okay? And I zoomed in, so obviously this isn't your natural millimeters, but every 10 millimeters, as you can tell we get to 10 here, well then it becomes 1 centimeter. Okay? So now we have 20 millimeters equals 2 centimeters, 30 millimeters equals 3, 40 equals 4, and so on until you get to 100. That equals 10 centimeters, and now we have a decimeter comes in. That equals 1 decimeter, because 1 decimeter is 10 centimeters, and also it's 100 millimeters. Then our meter is the long one, which would be way down off the board, because we would, it have to be the big meter stick. But once we get there, 1 meter would ultimately equal 10 decimeters, 100 centimeters. Let me write this out for you. And 1,000 millimeters. So find one object that is 1 millimeter on your strip. So using this strip, what one object can you think would be 1 millimeter? Okay? I want you to fill out one. I want you to do one, and I'll do one with you. Okay, so if we do one thing that is 1 millimeter wide, I'd say like the tip of your pencil. The tip of pencil would be 1 millimeter. Then it says find 1 centimeter on your strip. How many millimeters are there in 1 centimeter? Well, we have our strip here. And here's our 1 centimeter, and that tells you right above it that there are 10 millimeters in 1 centimeter. So think of an object that is 1 centimeter wide. What are some objects that are 1 centimeter wide? Write a couple down, then unpause it, and we'll go over a couple. Alright, so, while I think a pinky finger, most of your pinky fingers would be about 1 centimeter wide. Mine might be a little bigger just because my fingers are bigger, but maybe not. I'm comparing it, it's close. Pinky finger, piece of chalk, which we don't have a whole lot of chalk in here, but a piece of chalk would be 1 centimeter wide, and maybe a marker. Maybe the width of a marker. So those are a few options. Hopefully you had something similar. If not, no big deal. I'm sure that it's still good. Okay, so it says find 1 decimeter. Yeah, messed up on that one. I want to get this out of the way. It says find 1 decimeter on your strip. How many centimeters are in 1 decimeter? Oh, we kind of went over that already. Here's your 1 decimeter. If you look above it, it tells you that it's equal to 10 centimeters and equal to 100 millimeters. So your answer would be 10 centimeters. Okay, so here's a meter. And what they did is they folded it into decimeters to show you that, obviously it's going to be pretty long, but they folded it. So to show you this is how long a meter is. So each one of these lines, I'm going to change the color here. Each one of these lines is a decimeter. That means it's 10 centimeters or 100 millimeters. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It tells you there's 10 decimeters in 1 meter. And you know that because it's 100 centimeters. And there's 10 decimeters in 100 centimeters. Alright, so let's turn to the next page. Hopefully it's starting to give you an understanding of the comparing different units of measurement. Okay, this says choose your appropriate unit. Okay, we're going to talk about millimeters, centimeters, decimeters, and meters. Okay, and then maybe we'll get on, and then we can also get on to kilometers too, because kilometers is another big one. That's what we like to talk in miles. Sometimes we talk about distance, long distances being kilometers or miles. All right, so record which metric unit of length is best for measuring each object. I want you to fill in 1 through 13 on your own, and then unpause it, and we'll do them together. All right. So number 6, you're going to measure from. It looks like they're measuring the from her back or to her head, or maybe the length of her hair. So you'd want to do centimeters. I mean, if you did decimeters, you'd only have a couple here. Centimeters is a little bit better to say. You get more exact. It might be like 37 centimeters, because that's 3.7 decimeters, but centimeters might be the better unit of measurement, okay? And then distance from Chicago to New York, well, hopefully you all thought about kilometers, just because you're not going to measure that in centimeters or decimeters or meters, especially not millimeters. It'd be a long, take a long time. So if you measure it in kilometers, you can always make it down to you can always put it down to millimeters or centimeters or anything else just by just converting it, knowing that there's 10 times as many all the way up to the kilometers. The width of a quarter. Hopefully you all would do something like millimeters. And that's basically because if you do centimeters, it's only going to be like a couple centimeters, maybe a little over 2. But if you do millimeters, you get more of an exact number. So I like millimeters better on that. It looks like the distance, I don't know if we're thinking all the way around the racetrack or if it's from here to here. Either way, you're going to want to use meters, because you're just going to lay your meter stick and lay it and lay it and lay it, and it might only be 4 or 5 meters wide. But if you go millimeters, it's going to be a long time. If you go centimeters, it's going to be a long time, and decimeters is going to be a little bit longer. But I like meters on this. Your pencil, you could probably do millimeters or centimeters. This is one of those ones right in the middle. So millimeters or centimeters here. The height of this bar that he's going to jump over. You could do decimeters here. Or meters. Meters you're only going to get maybe 1 or 2. Decimeters are going to be a little bit more exact, closer. So you can do one of those two. Looks like from the door handle down, I would go centimeters or decimeters. Wouldn't go a meter because a meter is probably going to go over it. You're looking at a meter, would probably be right about here, so it's going to go over. So you want to lower it down. So like a decimeter is, would be something like that, or centimeters. And then the distance of your sidewalk is the last one. Depending on your sidewalk, which this sidewalk's kind of long, I would use a meter for the sidewalk here. So hopefully you came up with very similar answers. Now, if you didn't, and maybe in your mind you're like, hey, I'd rather measure it like this. I think it'd be more interesting. So, in small group today, we're gonna work on the next 2 pages together. So you shouldn't really have to do anything with that. But make sure you did take notes from this inside your math notebook, because these are very important notes. Converting measurements is an extremely hard concept to grasp. And I know they teach it at younger ages, but it kind of slips out of our heads by the time we get to 4th, and then we have to kind of learn it again. And that goes with just about everything that everything you can think of with learning. So